Hello and welcome to Manger's Study. I am your host CJ, and this is episode 12 on Project 2025. As I'm recording this, it is the 13th of August 2024. There's about 83, 82 or so days until Election Day on 2024. Alright, we're on page 159 or 192 of the PDF. We're about 20% through. Yay! Let's begin this episode by looking at Project 2025's ideas on the Management Directorate in the Department of Homeland Security. Looking through this, nothing much jumps out. Project 2025 says that too much overlap and red tape exists, so we should fix that. Sure, cool. Next, the Office of Strategy, Policy, and Plans, or PLCY, which, if that isn't just pronounced policy, it should be. Project 2025 says that policy should ensure that they are acting in accordance with the wishes of the President, Congress, and the Constitution. Project 2025 says that any work done to censor or otherwise change American speech should be reported to the public, and everyone involved in those unconstitutional activities should be fired. I can't argue with that. Also, Project 2025 says that policy should make its immigration statistics program the, quote, one-stop shop for the timely production of all department immigration statistics and analysis, unquote. I'll be honest, I don't know anything about that. I wasn't able to find any information on it in any kind of timely manner, so I'm just going to shrug this one off. Next up, we have the Office of Intelligence and Analysis, or I&A. Project 2025 says that it should be eliminated because it does not add value and has been weaponized, and I personally am always down for some federal government department elimination. Project 2025 says that bits of it should go to other departments or agencies. The rest should just go into the dustbin. Next, the Office of the General Counsel for this thing. Project 2025 says that the OGC should advise principals as to how DHS can execute its missions within the law instead of advising principals as to why they cannot execute regulations, policies, and programs. And by the way, that was a little block quote. Project 2025 also says that more political appointees should be placed here in supervisory roles, basically to make sure that the career people are doing what the president wants, what the policy agenda setters want, instead of what they want to do themselves. Next up, we have the Office of Legislative Affairs, the Office of Public Affairs, and the Office of Partnership and Engagement. Project 2025 says that the OPE and OPA should be merged. Sometimes reading through this really just makes me question my life decisions, such as the decision to read through this. There's not much in here really, just more of Project 2025 saying that things should be more controlled by the political arm instead of the bureaucratic arm. Fair enough if that's what you're going for, if you want the departments to do what the president and the policy agenda setters want them to do. It makes sense. I think that the argument here from the Heritage Foundation, from Project 2025, is that the bureaucratic arm is necessarily and of their nature more aligned to the Democratic Party and their agenda. So they would want more oversight if there is a conservative president and a conservative administration, just because the people who are already there, they're already going to lean left or lean Democratic, I should say. So they really want to make sure that whoever is the president takes control and has people there that will take control instead of letting them do what they want. Because Project 2025 believes, and I don't think it's a wrong belief, but they believe that the bureaucratic arm of all these different things would just be Democratic or leaning Democratic. Fair enough. After that, Project 2025 talks about the Office of Operations Coordination. There's absolutely nothing of interest there unless you are really interested in what the Office of Operations Coordination does, and even then you're probably going to find it pretty dry. The Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties and the Privacy Office are next up here. Project 2025 says that the CRCL has overstepped its bounds and should be controlled. So maybe, Project 2025 says, they should be folded into the General Counsel roles. The only real notable thing here is that they want the DHS to reflect that privacy laws should only be applicable to U.S. persons and lawful permanent residences. Slight tangent here. Something that I find interesting here is that there are these very tiny, very niche areas of the federal government that most people know absolutely nothing about. This section indicates some sort of controversy in the Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, or the Privacy Office in the DHS. But how many people know of this controversy? How many people care about this controversy? Part of me is understanding why nobody has done anything like the deep dive that I'm attempting to do. At least nobody that I've seen has done a deep dive like what I'm trying to do here. I'm the kind of nerd that finds this stuff at least a little bit interesting. And even I'm left thinking, what real difference does it mean to the person who wrote this that the privacy officer apparently also ensured privacy protections to non-US citizens, to non-US persons? What does that even mean? What does that look like? Sometimes it leaves me with more questions than answers, and oftentimes I'm not spending a terribly huge amount of time looking for some of these answers to some of these questions, but very often I just cannot find those answers. Enough self-reflection for the time being. Let's move on. Project 2025 says that the Office of the Immigration Detention Ombudsman and that the Office of the Citizenship and Immigration Services Ombudsman should be eliminated, as they are both unnecessary duplications of what other offices do. Again, not knowing any intricacies, not knowing any details. Are we eliminating federal bureaucracy? I'm down for it. But maybe these people do something important and nobody knows about it. Oh, it's a little bit frustrating. Next section is about the relationship between DHS and other departments. This is like a little catch-all section. Project 2025 says that the administration should move the Office of Refugee Resettlement to DHS, or to make that HHS is operating the ORR, oh, there's so many acronyms now too, in accordance with the president's wishes. That's what a lot of these things are going to be like. It's either move this thing to the DHS or make sure that the place that does this thing does it according to what the president wants. Project 2025 says that DHS and DOD should build the border wall and use the military to prevent border crossings when necessary. Basically, your border wall is going to be ineffective, and using the maybe use the National Guard, but you really can't do that too often because the National Guard is often in places that they shouldn't be, like in Jordan at an outpost that gets bombed by people. Project 2025 wants to move some immigration offices from the DOJ to DHS, or to treat administrative law judges as national security personnel, decertify their union. I didn't know they had a union, and hire more of them to process more immigrants, which is, again, kind of an interesting thing. They do want more people to process immigrants more quickly, which is also something that the Democratic Party wants, which is something that the left half of America wants. I do find it kind of interesting that they both kind of align on this goal. They just probably hope that the judges make slightly different decisions, which is probably why they also want them to be put into place by a conservative administration. Project 2025 also wants to have DHS to take over from the State Department when it comes to security and migration concerns in the Americas. So any kind of diplomatic anything would be at least partially in the hands of DHS instead of state, which is kind of a weird flex. Okay, I don't think so. Diplomacy should stay with the diplomatic arm of the government, I think. Definitely not a big fan of that one. Also, Project 2025 wants to punish countries that don't accept the deportees that we try to give back to them. Again, that's just kind of a weird flex. Like, Honduras, say, has a lot of refugees fleeing from Honduras, or a lot of people fleeing from Honduras, and they want to come to the United States. And if we catch them and determine that they're here illegally, we would deport them back to Honduras, except that Honduras doesn't want them. So, again, there's just some logistics here. There's a backstory here that I don't know. If, for example, we wanted to deport a large number of Hondurans back to Honduras, couldn't we just put them on a plane to Honduras? What are they going to do? Put them on a plane to come back to the? It would just. It's weird. I don't quite get it. It's in here for a reason, I'm sure. Somebody somewhere noticed something that somebody did. So it's in here for a reason. But the reason, again, it's just such a niche, small detail that I don't know. You probably don't know. Very few people probably know. It's just weird. It's interesting and weird. Project 2025 wants HUD, Housing and Urban Development, to ensure that illegal immigrants don't use or occupy federally subsidized housing. Similarly, they want the Department of Education to deny loan access to illegal aliens. Project 2025 wants the Labor Department to eliminate 2 of the 4 lowest wage levels for foreign workers. Again, I'm not sure what this means. I don't know what this accomplishes. Does it make it harder for people to hire foreign workers at cheaper prices, therefore theoretically boosting domestic wages because they took our jobs or something? There's not enough in here for me to understand why they want to do the things that they're doing. You try to look it up. There's not that much information out there about this. Again, if you find some information, let me know. But it's just like, why do they want to do this? What does this accomplish? It's a little bit of a mystery because in spite of the fact that they get very detailed in very many things here, sometimes it just seems like they're not detailed enough to let somebody who doesn't know what you're talking about to understand what it is you're talking about. Project 2025 wants Treasury to equalize citizen and visa taxes and to provide DHS with a tax information of illegal aliens. Presumably, this is so DHS can deport the illegal aliens that are paying their taxes. So we wanted the ones that come here illegally, granted, they shouldn't have done that, very bad. Granted, also, it should be easier for them. But again, they did a bad thing, but they are paying their taxes, and they're the ones that we want to deport. I don't get it. Yeah, if this becomes the policy, if these illegal aliens are paying taxes and then they're getting caught, what's going to happen is that they're going to start to find ways to not pay those taxes or to pay the taxes in a way that they don't get. Now, good for the aliens, I guess. Every person not paying taxes is one fewer source of money for the corrupt and evil regime of murderers and thugs that call themselves our noble leaders, but I don't think that that's what Project 2025 has in mind. Finally, Project 2025 wants to eliminate the intel role of DHS and leave that up to the rest of the intel community. Apparently, this is because they just suck. So sure, why not? So much of this is, again, the very conservative Republican idea. I wouldn't even necessarily say conservative, but it's very definitely a Republican idea of reducing immigration, of discouraging immigration, of making immigration harder. And again, on the one hand, they do want to have more judges that would be able to determine people's status and such. But on the other hand, they probably want them to deny people that and to send people back more quickly. So it's just a very anti-immigration stance. If that's what you want, then sure, do these policies. I, for one, want more immigration. I want more legal immigration. I want people to be able to have an easier time to come here. I want them to have an easier time to come here to integrate. Sure, pay their taxes, whatever, and make the economy better. They could provide goods and services to each of us, and it would just be a better world. That's what I want. Project 2025 doesn't want that. I think I'm going to call it here because that's the end of this section, chapter, part, whatever. Next up, we'll look at the Department of State. During this recording, my wife and I started talking a little bit, and I had left it recording because I didn't hit the stop button. I will probably put that up as a bonus episode kind of thing, just in case anybody wants to hear what we're conversing about. And that might become something more of a regular feature of the channel as well. Who knows? Until next episode, take it easy.